Hello. Today I'm going to be recapping my interview with a business professional, which is Mark Langina. He's had a very interesting career, so I knew that he'd be a great subject for our class. He has 35 years of experience in the energy industry. He's been a consultant, analyst, manager, executive, and educator. He sat down with me to talk about his journey and what he recommends for us business students. I was able to record our 20-minute interview, and here's what I think we can learn. At Penn State for his bachelor's in economics in the 80s and completed his master's degree in 1990. He was soon hired at Equitable Gas Company to oversee the deregulation and reconstruction of their natural gas system. He left after 3 years and was hired at a Pittsburgh company called Strategic Energy. This was a similar role in that it oversaw the reconstruction of the natural gas market, but it was brokering energy instead of just supplying it. And then while he was at Strategic, he became frustrated with the lack of upward mobility. So he then moved to an aluminum company who was a large consumer of electricity called Ormet. Apparently, Ormet spent about $200 million annually on electricity for their operations. This gave him valuable insight from the end user perspective in electricity consumption. At this time, the electricity markets were also deregulating in like 1997, 98. So there were lots of decisions to be made um, for consumers. In 2002, he actually returned to Strategic, where he spent about 9 years as the director of product development and technical sales. This is somewhat irrelevant, but Strategic was actually bought out by Direct Energy within his tenure. But while he was there, he developed new products for the restructured electricity market. He even received a patent for an energy buying marketplace called PowerBuy. In 2011, he left and became a broker in those same electricity markets. He was the VP of operations at a New York company called RPAC, which is Reliable Power Alternatives Corporation, until 2020. And this company served large international clients out of New York City. In 2018, Mark decided to return to Penn State to pursue renewable energy systems. And then in 2021, he developed a course called Solar Integration and Economics, where he teaches master students and advises them even today. So this decision to return to school altered the trajectory of Mark's career. He could see that his industry was evolving, and so he saw possibilities everywhere. But he was interested in the newest iteration of renewables, which are called thermal energy networks. Through his research, Mark was presented with an opportunity to build out a practice around thermal energy networks and other facets of the energy transition. He now consults with various firms, including urban development and sustainability. He's got utility companies, nonprofits, municipalities, and real estate companies. Um, he just talks to them about how they can implement thermal networks in their communities. And he's even testified 8 times now on behalf of those stakeholders in state, local, and even one federal decision. So currently, Mark is very distinguished in his field. He's leveraged his experience, knowledge, and relationships all throughout his career. How? Well, luckily, I've had a front row seat to the journey throughout my life because Mark is my father. The primary source of this is, of course, his resume and our interview. However, I can offer some insider perspective. To start, both of my dad's parents were educators. His mom was an English teacher, and his dad was a school principal. He said in our conversation that he was blessed early on with a teaching environment, which led to him viewing every problem as an opportunity. Also, while he was growing up, his parents were fighting in teachers' unions in the 70s and 80s, which kind of instilled in him a little bit of a collective action instinct, if you will. I think that he certainly brought that into his career later on. And then for transitions, he said he went through a lot of transitions at many different points in his career, and it's because he was always searching for fun at work and never wanted to get stuck. I know when I brought up that I was interviewing my dad for this to my mom, she was like, "Yeah, anytime he stopped having fun at a job, he would leave." He said it a little bit differently, but he was always looking for new opportunities. So when I asked my dad about best practices, he immediately said, "It's simple. Don't ever lie." He said that integrity is the absolute best practice. After that, he said proactivity and not getting behind, something he said to me all the time. Um, exactly like this, he would say, "Be proactive." And then, of course, we need to work hard at work and utilize our strengths because that's how we get ahead, and that's actually what make us overperform and give us value, or the most value, I guess. And then finally, he said weekly we should devote time to our field to stay on top of current events and innovations. We need to remember that the investment is in ourselves and not our company. The skills that we learn at one company, we can and we will use them at other companies if we want to, of course. And of course, we always want to nurture our relationships and understand our customers, because who knows, like we could get a job there. I know my dad did that quite a few times, um, just by knowing the customer and being able to network within the field. He says he owes a lot of his career to others. He discussed with me some of the relationships that he developed. He says that on the same level, he met many people that were smarter and more experienced than him. He said he met mentors that guided him throughout his career. But the most interesting one to me was the outside professional input. He said that when he returned to education in 2018, he was talking with someone who was around his age but a little older. Um, and they were talking about his remaining career and his working life. And my dad said that this guy, he said that he has 6,000 hours left of working, and how do I want to spend it? 6,000 hours is just 3 years. But my dad, he's 61 now, I think, or 62, so he has about 3 years left, I guess, until he's retiring age officially at this point. But in 2020, this shifted his perspective. Um, you know, he he was just being a broker in New York at that point, and he decided that he, wanted to pursue something else. So then we talked about the current job market. I said that, there's a lot of things going on for us with AI and how the economy's going. And he explained to me that, he was coming of age in the 80s and job prospects were very grim, especially in his hometown. He graduated in 1982, and he said that that year, actually, the number one song was called Allentown, which is actually, he's from the Lehigh Valley. It's a song by Billy Joel, and it's about the layoffs that were happening at Bethlehem Steel. So, of course, massive layoffs happening at that time, in his community. So, of course, everyone that got laid off there needed to find a new job, and a lot of the industrial jobs were collapsing. So, had to switch careers. And then in the 90s, computers were everywhere, and obviously jobs and businesses were restructuring with new technologies. And then now with the internet, companies can hire from around the world, and anyone can get an education or work from their house. So basically, point being, we need to remain relevant in our industry. And he said we need to stay fungible. So basically, we need to be able to use our skills in many different ways. We should spend a significant amount of time trying to see, what could happen next and position ourselves for the most success. Okay, so what did I get from the interview? Firstly, of course, the importance of integrity and how it is the backbone to any business dealing. He always said to not be afraid to tell the truth, do it in a way that's polite and that's politic, but never be afraid to actually tell the truth. And then for the next one, proactivity, I definitely struggle with this one sometimes, not getting behind. It's definitely super important so that we can balance our workload and, try and see problems before they arrive. Next is, of course, staying relevant in your field. He said always that, he wanted to um, remain fungible and have skills that can be used anywhere. And then finally, the importance of building relationships with those in your field, those in your company, getting a mentor, outside input. Those are all what's gonna, take your career to the next level. Thank you so much for watching. Have an awesome day.